I'm good at building companies, right? Because all I want to do is fucking win. I look at, some other people are like competitors, like, oh, there's room in this space for all of us, whatever. And I'm like,
enough meat
no,
on the
I
bone.
want to fucking kill you and take your company.
All right, cool. Well, here we are. We got another guest. You can see that there's now 4 of us. We're starting a boy band. It's a revival. We're gonna be touring with NSYNC.
Black shirt band.
Yeah,
Black shirt band. I like that.
somehow cut to every single one of us. Black,
Slightly different black.
and black.
V-neck. You went V-neck.
V-neck.
Yeah.
V-neck is
Not
pretty
not
nice.
recommended.
Is that Built Basics?
Theory.
Oh,
Makes sense.
more fancy.
Makes sense. It's a Canadian brand.
Sting.
Well, we're here with a very special guest. This is Dean's friend, very close friend. Is this a pickleball friend?
No,
Do you have pickleball friends?
I do. But Matt's not one of them.
Oh, interesting. How do we know Matt?
We'll play pickleball.
Matt?
That sounds like an empty promise. You know what I mean?
It's like a question.
Hey, pickleball's a cult. Have people tried to recruit you, Matt, to play pickleball?
I recruit people I've recruited people to play pickleball. So what does that make me?
Co-leader.
It makes you a master. What is it? A mastermind? Or what were we talking about before?
That's
before
right,
we were
guru.
rolling. Yeah. You can pay $100,000 to be in my pickleball network.
Pretty good network.
But if you graduate from that, then you get to be level 2.
That's right. Level 2 pickleball master.
Yeah. But all right. So you guys don't know each other from pickleball yet. Both of you have.
Mutual friend, really.
A strange
That's how we
mutual
got,
friend.
Who's the strange mutual friend? Would I know that person?
He's a doctor. He says he's a doctor.
Well, yeah.
Is this the prison doctor?
No, it's
No.
a different doctor.
Is this a
He would be
dentist?
good as a prison
Is this a
It
dentist?
is not a dentist. We just keep going.
Chiropractor.
I love when people are like, hey, I'm Dr. Bill.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you practice? It's a philosophy. So I have a doctorate in education.
Yeah.
So is it a real doctor?
He says he's a real doctor.
Okay.
He went to medical school, but he's never actually practiced medicine.
Yeah.
Oh, he went to school in the Bahamas. I've met plenty of these types of people.
No, I actually went to a good med school.
Claims it's Columbia Medical School.
Yeah, the Columbia Medical School of Columbia.
Romania.
Of Romania.
Columbia, right.
Yeah. I did my hair restoration over there.
Right.
Yeah. I know that guy.
It's actually, it's not Columbia, New York. It's Columbia, Medellin. It's Medellin.
Medellin.
Yeah,
that's
Medellin, Colombia.
Yeah. He is kind of swarthy looking.
I think I know this idiot.
This guy actually got it figured out, like went to med school, became a doctor, and then just went into consulting and now is like, massive investor type guy.
Does he drink tea out of his hat like people from Uzbekistan?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Matt doesn't get that
I haven't
joke.
seen that.
Never seen him wear hats
Oh, yeah.
or drink tea.
So, all right. So you have some Romanian idiot
Yeah.
that you
Mutual
met at the
friends.
bazaar
Yeah.
that
right.
introduced you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, who was Matt?
What was he selling?
just met you, right?
Pistachios
Yeah.
or something?
That's me.
No, pickled watermelon.
Pickled watermelon.
Yeah, he was selling pickled watermelon at the bazaar.
Okay.
We were at the same stall.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
This is all right. So
Yeah.
that's how you got introduced.
And then Matt and I also share a different connection in that our daughters happen to be friends at school
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and play volleyball together.
And play volleyball together.
Girls have interesting, long-lasting friendships that at least last 6 months.
Shorter.
Shorter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This day and age, everything is shorter.
I love her. By the way, she's such a fucking bitch. By the way, right? That is girls.
That's light right there.
Interesting.
I mean, so, yeah, it can get real ugly real fast.
Would you agree with this statement that? What's your daughter's name?
Ashley.
Ashley. So Ashley goes, you know what? I want to have Hannah and Rebecca over to my house. Right?
Yeah.
Dean knows where I'm going with
This
this.
is the triangle question.
This is the triangle question. So Dean taught me a long time ago, can't do triangle. Cannot do triangle.
It takes a very specific set of girls, I think, to do that.
Right.
But I would agree, like one-on-one is always better.
Yeah.
As soon as you add more than one into the mix,
Right.
Someone's always going to get their feelings hurt.
Yeah. This is good stuff for a parenting podcast. Dean's cell
you are
phone's
not.
going off. So Dean, introduce Matt. I wanted to understand who he is, what he does. The point of the podcast is talk to entrepreneurs, and he gave me he gave me an inside track on you, but I want to hear it.
Yeah, we have a few details.
Yeah.
But I think Matt is the prototypical entrepreneur that we were excited to have on this podcast,
Nice.
right? Because he's gone from employee to startup founder to an exit and then on to a second round of startup founder.
Interesting.
So
That's amazing.
he's done a lot.
Technically
And I bet
third.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. What have you accomplished with your
Let's go.
shitty life, Lulkin?
And so I think that he's going to be an amazing example for the audience to learn a lot about how to go from the very early stages of entrepreneurship
Yeah.
all the way to having a serious evaluation on your current business.
Are you going to let loose at all?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to be like, so like,
That was very proper.
that was very like proper. We'll cut that up. It'll be an amazing clip for your business. Anyway, back to the shit talk.
Oh, there's going to be, we're going to be dropping
Take off
bombs.
your shirt. Get comfortable.
You want me to go Bert Kreischer?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dean sends me this clip last night.
We get a vodka?
Yeah, we can get a vodka. 4 Idiot vodka. 4 Bear vodka. Dean sends me this clip of what's the podcast called? The one with Bert Kreischer. Something.
2 bears, 1 cave.
2 Bears, 1 Cave. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
Okay, it's pretty good, but it's just them two kind of like just talking shit back and forth, cracking themselves up. So he sends me this clip. He goes, you know what? For the podcast, like we've already done a bunch of episodes. Now it's time to like chill the fuck out, right? Like have some fun, like, you know, go back and forth, like be real. And then he comes in with, and the thing about Matt is he's a lawyer, he's an entrepreneur. There was an exit and he's done another exit. And I think we're going to really dig in here and learn a lot about how to like, you know, scale a business. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
it's true.
I'm so hurtful
I want
this
to
morning.
ask Matt about how he feels about female attorneys.
Oh no,
But he said
No,
not to.
yeah, no.
So we're
he
not.
doesn't have any feelings.
Yeah.
I don't have any feelings.
0. Nope.
Good.
I'm married to one. So
Let's
I'm
go
allowed
with
to say
diplomacy. I know your wife.
that. Yeah.
She's good to have on our side. You do not want to be on the other side. Yesterday, I got a letter
fierce.
from an attorney.
Fierce.
Was it yesterday? Very recently. And I asked Dean what to do with it. He's like, oh, that's my wife. And I think she said, like, wipe your ass with it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
literally take a shit, take a huge dump, and then print that out, wipe your ass with it, and move on.
Yeah. There's never been a letter sent to Cardiff from another attorney that Marlene didn't say to wipe our ass with it.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, what's going to happen if you wipe your ass with it?
Yeah. She just said that's always step 1.
It's not going to change anything, really, the outcome, right?
Yeah.
But at least makes you feel probably a little better.
Well, no, I don't think she meant it that way. Just meant like, who the fuck is this guy? She'll look him up on the internet. She'll be like, where did he go to law school? And this is maybe a good transition, good pivot point. But she's like, where did he go to law school? Oh, he went to Columbia Law School in Medellin.
Yeah.
Throw
Which
out.
is like, yeah, it's like where I went. Throw it out. Yeah.
So where'd you go to law school?
Yeah. I went to Thomas Jefferson. It's like barely even a law school anymore here.
Okay, is that an accredited law school?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I
No,
don't
it
think
is.
So no. What?
Definitely
Oh,
it is.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it was. I think it still is. Actually, it might
lose-
not be
It
anymore.
lost its accreditation.
Yeah, this was like, you guys probably remember this spot because like we built like this amazing campus downtown.
Yeah.
Like next to the library.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
When you say
new
you
building.
built it, like you're a stonemason also?
I dabble, but no, like this beautiful campus downtown.
Yeah.
And then some student sued the school because they didn't pass the bar, basically, and like sued the school.
Wait, hold on.
Does that happen a lot? With
Wait, how does he sue the school if he's not a lawyer? Oh, he hired a lawyer.
You're right point. She sued the school. I think it was a she sued the school because she couldn't pass the bar and it's the school's fault.
How many
And
times did
because
she fail?
I don't know, but it's a 48% pass rate. So most people fail in California. She was one of them, but apparently it's the school's fault because the school made promises about their bar pass rate that apparently was misrepresentation. A bullshit lawsuit. Nonetheless, just totally damaged the school. And now it's like on one floor in Symphony Towers and they lost the building and
wow.
it was a disaster.
She took him down.
Took him down.
She took him
basically. I mean, I think that was like the initial push.
And you know, the reason that she was able to take them down was because their representation had also graduated from Thomas Jefferson.
That's right.
Listen, a little birdie told me.
I mean, maybe
a
I might be
Romanian
one of the most
birdie.
successful like attorneys from.
He's
Thomas.
trying.
Go with it.
He's trying to preempt. The
he's
statement.
stealing your line.
He's stealing the line.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Are you one of the most successful graduates of Thomas Jefferson Law
So
School?
I don't know the alumni roster very well.
Let's go through it. There's got to be a few.
I mean, I've got one of my really good friends. He invested in my first company. He did pretty well. So,
wait, better than you?
No, not better than me, but he did well.
That's the thing,
so he's
right?
not more
Maybe. That's the thing. Everyone wants everyone to do well, but nobody wants someone to do better than they're doing. Does that make sense? Hey, congratulations. You're killing it, right? But just don't do better than me.
I want Josh to do better than me.
Well, he has to talk. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But less talk is better.
No,
right,
more
back to
talk is
Matt.
better. Back to Matt.
Yeah.
Josh, we'll pivot back in a second.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he nailed it. It's a great intro, really.
But so
I still don't know who Matt is.
Well, let's get through the origin story. Let's back up just a little bit.
You want the background? So
where are you from originally?
Originally from New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And
so
then Arizona.
that's a wrap for today. And we'll see you guys next episode.
No, I moved to Arizona when I was like 10.
Oh, okay.
And then went to U of A and then moved out to San Diego to go to law school.
Also not a hard school to get into.
No, you can get in there pretty easily.
Yeah.
Great party school.
Great party school.
school.
Great
Not, let's not get it confused with ASU because there's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
ASU is a great place to get like an STD. U of A is a good place to get still a degree.
Yeah.
Right. So I went there and then went out to San Diego for law school. And
Why'd you come out to San Diego?
My girlfriend at the time was like when I was graduating U of A.
What was her name?
Stacy.
And what's your wife's name?
Back here, Robin.
All right, so let's go back to Stacy. Let's talk about her just a little bit. I'm just kidding.
Bring it. So I chased her out here, right?
Was she also going to Thomas Jefferson?
No, her brother was going to a different law school here, who was in my fraternity. Older brother was in my fraternity, so was very close with him, and I came out here for her.
Are we going to guess his fraternity? You're so quiet. I love it. You're
It's
like
U of A.
so
I mean, you got to know the Greek system
Sigma
at U of A. No, but not far off.
Sigma Nu.
Still not far off, but you're getting like put a letter in the second there. Kappa Sigma.
Kappa Sigma.
Yeah.
That's not a sorority? Kappa Sigma?
Not when I was there.
Could have transitioned.
You never know.
Dean was the president of a fraternity. I remember that.
I was
Definitely a Jewish fraternity.
definitely a Jewish
Like
one.
either a
I was gonna say A5. That's
or
He does look
or
like a-
SAE. Well, actually, we're wearing the black with the thing, so it's got
Sammy.
no, not Sammy. What's the other one? The other big
There's
one.
API. There's
No, there's
You're
Sammy and
talking
there's
about AZ.
AZA.
No, I've gone completely blank.
ZBT.
We are wearing the ZBT uniform
Really?
right now. Yeah, this was the ZBT uniform.
Yeah, I
Are
have
you
a stupid
Jewish
story
also?
about that.
Yeah,
Oh, you are?
yeah.
Could have fooled me. This guy looks like a... We'll cut that in post. But you look very Anglican.
Yeah, I mean, is that good? I think that's good. Is
Oh,
it
yeah.
good?
His wife's name is great. Yeah, it's great.
No, but I'm Jewish, and so, but this was the ZBT uniform at U of A.
Yeah.
Probably more blue jeans, but black T-shirt, blue jeans, sell cocaine. That's that was
We went to the
the
wrong school.
Yeah.
That was the
Oh my
MO.
god.
Yeah.
So that was U of A.
That's awesome.
And
and then you moved out here because of Stacy.
I moved out here. Yeah, I mean, law school. Actually, surprisingly enough, I was not going to go to law school. I was going to go into commercial real estate. Right. My dad did commercial real estate for most of his life in New York.
Yeah.
And it was spring break, my senior year of college. So we're talking March, senior year of college. We're getting pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
And my parents, I was like going on spring break trip, and they sit me down before I leave, and they're like, "We don't want you going into commercial real estate. We want you to go to law school, and we'll pay for it." And I'm like, okay.
Wait, hold on. But why would they say that? Was
I don't
dad's
know.
life falling apart?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I just think that they wanted, I don't know. It's like a Jewish family with no lawyer. So I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good point.
Someone's a doctor?
Yeah. I
There's a
wanted a lawyer in the family. Maybe. I don't know.
Do you have a sister or brother?
I have a younger sister. Yeah.
And what does she do?
She is a nurse practitioner. She's in the
okay.
medical
That's
field.
legit.
She's up in LA.
Medical.
So yeah, so like we have that, right?
Yeah.
But so they were like, go be a lawyer. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I have to do? And they're like, well, you got to take the LSAT like next week.
Yeah. That's great. You
and
got to
so-
take the LSAT
Yeah.
next week.
So I went on spring break and I came back and took the LSAT like 3 days later.
Unreal.
And I did fine. And then I was like, all right, so there's one school still accepting applications pretty
Oh,
much.
because you're so late.
And that's Thomas Jefferson. And so they gave me a scholarship because of my LSAT score. And so I went.
What'd you score on the LSAT?
I think like 162 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
With
We're like in the
with like
same
a spring
neighborhood.
break, with like a spring break leading into it. Like,
Yeah, that's
pretty
That's
good,
pretty
right?
freaking good, dude.
And what did you decide to do with your 162?
I think I got a 165 or something.
Oh,
Yeah. But
super smart.
I took it twice.
Oh,
And I got acceptances at similar caliber law schools. 160, 160.
Whittier and
somewhere
such.
like, oh yeah. Oh, no. Schools that you've never heard of. The Thomas Jefferson Johnson School of Law. You're like,
Yeshiva University.
Yeshiva, yeah.
Yeshiva.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's heard of that because they've seen Boiler.
Ads,
They've
yeah.
seen, they've seen
Boiler
the poker movie. Whatever.
Yeah. Cardozo Yeshiva University.
Yeshiva,
I got into Michigan, which was amazing. State. Michigan State.
Good.
Yeah,
Still
no, I got
good.
a,
That's
I got a
still like-
scholarship there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spartans.
Yes, not to be confused with where Tom Brady went to school, which is University of Michigan.
That's right.
So whenever I talk to people,
It doesn't really get confused with it.
no, probably not.
He's pretty not.
Whenever I talk to people who've gone to law school and are lawyers, maybe they're not practicing, but they're they got their degree. I'm always like, yeah, took the LSAT, did all right. You know what I mean? Got into law school, got a scholarship at Michigan. They're like, oh fuck, this guy's smart. And I just kind of Michigan State.
Yeah.
Just kind of throw it in there. Just, maybe they hear it, maybe they don't. I don't like to lie, but I also don't like to necessarily come out straight out of the gate with, full disclosure.
I think I'm more impressed that you listened to your parents. That
Yeah, well, I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. And honestly, going to like a few more years of school sounded kind of
San
awesome.
Diego.
Like in San Diego.
Yeah. Also, he's Jewish, bro.
but still, there's
listen to
a
Yeah.
No, we listen to our parents.
you?
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah. That was kind of it.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't. My parents told me to be a doctor, study biology and chemistry.
You
I
just
was
said-
like,
You would
not
have made
gonna
a
happen.
great gynecologist.
Yeah.
You really would. No one loves it more than he does.
Oof.
What? I'm saying practicing medicine.
Yeah.
Just
I
if
care about
that's
the
where-
patients.
Yeah. You're like the bedside manner. You have I feel like.
Ooh. My bedside manner?
Are you? Oh, this is an attack on me?
No.
Let's get back to the guest. Let's get back to the guest. Let's get back to
just personalized it.
Jeez.
I was talking about my Russianness.
Yeah, listen, do you Russian people, they don't necessarily have like the greatest bedside manner.
Also Romanian.
Romania, I feel like they're very similar, right? Like I kind of I guess they're different countries,
No.
but it's really the same.
Yeah,
I guess
it's
maybe
like-
sometime in the next 5 years, it could all just be
Ukraine and
one
Romania
Hey,
are literally
God
next
willing,
to me.
huh? Putin, let's go. Let's go. Love that guy. Huge supporter. Tune in for Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin. I'm so excited. So excited.
Oh yeah, that's going to be.
He's not going to get arrested.
It's going to be a train wreck.
Tucker, I think he loves Putin.
Okay. Putin loves him.
I don't know. I heard because it's in Russia,
Yeah.
right? And I've just heard some anecdotal stuff. What I've heard is that like the Russians are tracking like everything that he's doing, like his activities every day.
Yeah, well, you've seen Rocky
Tucker's.
4, right? Is it East versus West?
That's true. I mean, that
Or
was
man
like
against man. Yeah.
And they were following him in the car.
They were following. Remember that in that
And he
little
loses
Mercedes,
them. And he loses them in the snow. Yeah,
that's right, man.
the car goes sideways. Great scene.
Dude, you know that scene.
Yeah.
Why does every Jewish person love Rocky 4? Do you know Rocky 4?
I haven't watched any of the Rockies.
What? You look like Rocky.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was sheltered. There's 4 of them or 5?
No.
There's like 8 or 9.
Now there's like 12. Well, if you go to Creed, there's like 9.
Oh,
to
I
10.
forgot.
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
Creed,
There's-
but Creed
whenever,
doesn't count.
whenever Stallone runs out of money, I think they just make a new one.
How's he
He
still
runs out of
alive?
money a lot.
Yeah.
Well, Creed is not. Apollo Creed just died.
Oh.
The
real
Yeah.
Apollo Creed.
what's his name? Carl Weathers?
Weathers.
Carl Weathers. Who just said that? Thomas with the key drop in.
Maybe best remembered as Chubbs from
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Great movie. Hey, easy does it, huh?
It's all in the hips.
It's all in the hips. That's right, man.
Matt loves golf.
Are you a good golfer?
I think I'm a fine golfer.
Let's fucking
Yeah.
go.
I play a lot of golf
Where do you play?
at the farms.
Oh, they let Jewish people play there?
I think they didn't for a long time.
Yeah.
Now they do. I
You're
mean,
like-
like it's all country clubs now. Now Jews run the place.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And media, apparently.
Well,
Yeah.
we own the media.
Yeah. And financial services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too.
And social media.
Social media? No. Cody Sanchez. I looked at all of her followers. Yeah, we'll stop there.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
not dive in there.
Yeah.
Secure that deal first.
Pakistani printing press over here. All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll pivot away from that. But you know how the social media
I
game
got it,
works.
yeah.
Lending
Good.
tips 2.0, 3.0.
Yeah, Matt, take us through the origin story a little bit more. So obviously we have Jersey to Arizona.
Is
it a
whatever.
middle
End
class
up in law
upbringing?
school. Yeah. And
Was
then
anyone an entrepreneur in the family?
I'd say my dad is, I guess. I mean, he was in commercial real estate. He also owned a store in New Jersey. And then when we moved out to Arizona, it was like kind of buy a business, car business, interiors. And then like when he moved out here, it turned into like yachts and interiors, boat service. So I would say yes. And so maybe, but like, but I don't know, like I don't know that I was an entrepreneur before I think I was like, I'm going to go be a lawyer. But the interesting thing is I decided to be a criminal defense lawyer. And the reason why I decided to be a criminal defense lawyer was because I thought it could be run as a good business. So like maybe it was always, kind of there for me. I didn't like.
What's the logic there? Take us through it.
Because I thought it was like, I could probably start my own law firm and like I could figure out how to get clients. Like I could probably advertise and get criminal defense clients, and I could probably like run it like a business where it's like it's not like a Jones Day or Shepherd Mullen where it's like this massive corporate law firm, which is a little harder to get customers, a little harder to get clients. Like I just thought that I could run it like a business, and I could start churning it out. Like it could be like a process driven thing.
Yeah. You're thinking as an entrepreneur, right?
I think I was. I didn't know at the time, right? I was, and I was working at a huge, infamous San Diego law firm.
Ooh, I want to know infamous.
Oh yeah, Pacific Law Center.
I remember that.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah,
Carrie
Steigerwald. Carrie Steigerwald came into it. I had already been there. Carrie Steigerwald took it over. Super infamous. Every city bus, all over the place, and we were handling a shitload of cases. I was doing criminal defense, right? And then I did that for like 4 years. Left, started my own firm.
Well, hold on. Why is it infamous?
I think it's infamous because it was viewed as like a bit of a mill, right? So like,
gotcha,
just taking in a lot. And I think one of the other things that they did, which ironically was maybe just ahead of its time, and oftentimes like the first mover there is villainized, right? But the guys who would, if you got a DUI and you got, you went into. I really honed it.
Yeah, dude, look at Dean, dude.
Or like if you got arrested for sexual molestation.
There you go.
I gotta take this call. Flag on the play. Personal foul. Unnecessary comment.
Oh my God.
So you go in.
Sorry, Rocky.
You go in. Yeah. I mean, it was a setup. It was a perfect setup.
Yeah,
so if you go into Pacific Law Center, and you have a case, the first person you talk to will not be a lawyer. You're going to talk to, honestly, somebody whose prior job was probably selling cars.
Okay. Student loans, cars.
So, and they are going to sell you on hiring that firm.
Okay. Like your Romanian friend.
Yeah. A sales guy. And that was something that was just very foreign in law firms. And actually, ironically, ends up kind of going full circle and becoming a huge part of what I do now, at my company. But that was, people didn't do that. Like law firms didn't have sales guys, right? Because it was like, you couldn't do that, right? If you're a lawyer, like you have to, you got to be a lawyer. And so that was their approach, and they killed it because of that, right? These guys were good at selling. Yeah. And then we as lawyers had to take on that client. And sometimes there were like things that were said that maybe, were a little borderline, or that we had to walk back.
Well, this is funny. Push pause. Dean, do you know what I'm going to say? No, you have no clue? Dang, I thought you'd pick up on this. Where these powerful salespeople who are also lawyers, they overpromise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then they
that's the most common law partner profile, I feel like.
Right. It's like,
is a salesman that closes the big deal by promising to essentially, right, be a bulldog on behalf of the client.
Say it. We'll edit it out. Just say it. Go, keep going.
Right.
This is murder. It's YouTube, bro.
Murder your whole family.
Yeah.
Right? They promise to murder the whole family.
Yeah.
Right. And the client feels really, really good about that. Because why wouldn't you want a lawyer who's gonna fucking kill the opponent's grandmother?
Totally.
And so they will hire that lawyer. Yeah. And what happens later? They come back to their office.
No,
they talk to the associate, right?
Yeah.
They tell the associate, you've got a new case. And they say, what'd you tell them? I said that you're going to murder their whole family. So we can't do that. That's your problem. I brought the client in. Yeah. You go figure out how to close this thing.
I hooked the fish.
Right. And so, we know a lot of lawyers that end up on the receiving end of these cases where they have to figure out, like, how do I back up these promises you made? Doesn't matter. I bring in the case. I bring in the bacon. I get paid.
Yeah.
You go figure it out.
So I think it was not quite that far, but like maybe not that far off. Right.
Yeah. They got an intake specialist. He overpromises.
That's exactly right. Intake specialist. And so, but now like now in law, like this is a pretty common thing. And like having an intake specialist, having like a salesperson actually like not being afraid to call it sales instead of calling it intake. Right.
Yeah.
And this is my entire world right now, but it's like, it's actually a thing. It's become a paradigm, whereas it was villainized, 15 years ago. So I was there for 4 years and I left. And the reason why I left, I was like, all right, time to start my own criminal defense firm.
Interesting.
And so I started my own.
And did you leave because you're like, look at all the money I'm bringing in, but I'm only getting
I wasn't bringing in shit. Like I can't bring in like,
because usually when people,
I know that's getting arrested, right? Like, but I thought that like, I had a big book of business. I could probably generate some referrals from that. But really I was like, no, I can start my own firm. I can buy ads on Google for San Diego DUI lawyer.
Dope.
Right. And I can get business in. I'm going to charge for that. I'll start, I'll do San Diego criminal defense lawyer. I will just market myself.
San Diego's filled with criminals. And I'm going to get, you want to know where I put my office? I think this was the most brilliant thing. Do we get a guess?
No one ever did. Yeah. Take a guess where a criminal defense lawyer might want to put their office.
Next to a jail?
So not far off.
Close to Dean's
There's
house.
There's one better than being next to a jail.
Bail bonds.
Bingo. Yeah.
Huh? Look at the big brain on this Jew.
So there was a vacant spot on C Street, right downtown. So there's that bail bond row, right? Like where the train tracks are, and it's like King Stallman, All Pro, and everybody. And then there's a sub restaurant on the corner there. And I got a ground floor office.
I got excited. He just said
right in
sub.
there.
Sub 2?
Oh, Pace Morby.
Pace Morby.
I was thinking sub in a sexual way. Please continue.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, please continue.
So I put my office right there. So it's like these people are going to get bail, and they see a big sign that says criminal defense law right there.
Awesome.
Just knock on the door and come on in.
And did you get walk-in traffic?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I also I made friends with all the bail bondsmen, so like send them over.
So legally, can you give them? They're not lawyers, right? The bail bondsmen.
Can't give them like a referral, I can't split the fee,
right?
But
can you give an Amazon? Well, they didn't have Amazon back then.
And now, but that's all changed now too, dude. Like now you're getting states where non-lawyers can be owners of law firms. And that's opened up the floodgates. Like people can invest in law firms.
We tried to do that and people keep turning us down. They're like, you can't do that.
That's
I hope that changes in California.
Is that okay to?
It's not okay yet, but that is like it's on the docket in California.
What state can you invest in a law firm? I think not be a lawyer?
I want to say Illinois allows you.
Nevada sounds like a state where you could do that.
They're going to be the first to pioneer that. They've got to. The interesting thing,
probably Florida and Texas also.
Florida. I always like to start doing stuff like that before it's legal. That way, by the time it catches up, you're like,
Yeah, I mean, you want to be ahead of the curve.
I always like to be ahead of the curve.
That's a good idea.
All right.
But so then the story of how I actually started my first business is kind of fun and interesting. So I started my law firm, right? And there was a lot of shit going on in my life. So like we had just found out we were pregnant with our first. I had just left the law firm and started my own business. So like kind of risky.
Yeah.
And then like 4 weeks later, I got a bar complaint.
What?
Yeah. So like
from Stacy.
From Stacy. Yeah. So no, from some dude who was like made a bar complaint about, which is actually the number one complaint at all state bars, was a attorney-client communication. Right. Basically, like you didn't call me back, right? The dude calls at like 8:30 in the morning and I call him back at 5:30 at night because I'm in court all day.
Yeah.
That's not good enough.
Interesting.
Right? And so long story short, but that bar complaint led to me like wanting to build something for my clients to like log into their website. Like I wanted to build something on my website where my clients could go and just see what's going on with their case. Because the reason why they were calling was just bullshit. It was like, when's my next court date? And can I see my police report?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I could just give them that. So I had my cousin who was building my website. I had him like, I'm like, can you just build a back end to this thing so I could post this for my clients? And I was using some other software for law, but like none of it did that. Right. And so he's like, I don't know how to do that. And then I had like a friend who was an engineer. I'm like, can you build this for me? And so he's like, yeah, probably. So he started building. I'm like, I think other lawyers might want this.
Yeah.
Can you build it as like its own thing? So we're like, yeah, let's build it as its own thing. And then like the thing just kind of exploded and became, the company just sold again a year and a half ago for $900 million.
Jeez. What year was this?
It's called My Case.
Like when you first created the website?
I first created it in like 2010, very early 2010. I sold it to a company, actually in real estate, you probably know, I sold it to a company called Appfolio.
Oh yeah. They're like a property manager now.
Yeah, huge public company. So
and you sold it to them for 800 million.
No.
Sorry, 850.
Yeah.
850.
Yeah, 850,000.
Oh shit.
No, more than that.
And in the what do you call it? What does the Price is Right say? The something offer without going over.
You can't go over.
Yeah. So what was the number? Are you allowed to say?
Not necessarily, but it wasn't. I mean, it was eight figures. Yeah,
8 figures. All right, hold on.
Let's do the math.
So there's
2, 3.
so that's like more than 10 million,
6.
less than 100 million.
Oh yeah, right in there. Okay.
Yeah. But so I sold it to Appfolio in 2012, and then I ran the business under, still at Appfolio. I took an executive position at Appfolio. We went public in 2015. I left like right as we were going public in 2015, and then I actually did some pretty cool shit after that, and then came back to this in 2017.
I like to use the word shit because you're like, I left Pacific Law Center, and then just all this shit just happened. My wife got pregnant. You start saying all these, I got a bar complaint. And then now you're like, yeah. And then started this company and then sold it. And then all this good shit happens.
Yeah.
But I love the entrepreneurial journey because this is such a common thing that happens, is that Matt was trying to solve a problem that he had as an employee.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Or even as a small business owner, he saw a problem, he saw a market opportunity, and he took it. Jeff
Fenster talks about that. You know Everbowl?
I know Everbowl.
A buddy of ours, Jeff Fenster, who we actually interviewed on the podcast, said the difference between a entrepreneur and a business owner is an entrepreneur tries to solve problems and a business owner tries to make a pizza. Right. So it's like, it's pretty easily like you have to make a bet on one of them, like one horse. It's like, where do you want to put your money?
Yeah. I think an entrepreneur also thinks at a different scale, typically than a business owner.
Yeah.
But the best one, it's like such a cliche at this point, right? But like the best businesses are people who like experienced a problem and then solved the problem. I don't love entrepreneurs who force the issue.
So who's an example?
I don't have a good one.
Papa John's? Sorry, we don't.
No, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe that guy was really passionate about pizza. I think like, he was
passionate about racism. I think we know that.
I just think that like, if you're not like, I've been doing this a while, like I understand what it takes to build a company. And like, if you ain't passionate about like the problem you're trying to solve, then like, it's gonna fucking fail,? And so people who are just like, I feel like nowadays everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. It's like the cool thing, right? So you sit around in a room and you're like, okay, what kind of company should we build? Oh, like this sounds cool. Like maybe this would work, right? You're not really solving your own problem. You're just like trying to figure out what could work. I don't know that that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, it's a good point, right, Matt? Because you see these things on like social media where it's like, start a drop shipping business, buy a bunch of Airbnbs. There's always like every week, right, Dima? There's like a flavor of idiot, right? That has this idea that's not original, that doesn't solve a problem, but it's like a scheme.
Yeah, just get rich quick.
Get rich quick. Yeah.
And like, that's fine. Like, God bless them. But like, I just don't know that I put it in the same kind of category as like entrepreneur that,
in hindsight, did you think through the idea that I'm trying to fix a problem at scale and this legal market's huge? Or were you just like, well, I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to fix this problem?
No, I think I was like, so I actually, what's funny is I say that I just gave that whole diatribe about how I think you need to be really passionate and not like force it. Yeah. But like, I may have been guilty about that in the beginning, in the sense that like, I had a good friend who was a tech entrepreneur and like a pretty good one, and like had some really good successes. And I would like go to his office and I'm like, this is fucking rad. Like, I want this. Like, my law firm sucks. Like, I want to work here. Like, I want that. I want to have I want to do what you do.
Right.
And so I think I was like looking for the thing to like, now I just happened to got lucky and like did find a problem that ended up like I needed to solve. And it did, kind of steamroll after that.
Yeah.
But like in a little bit, I was like kind of looking for that thing to give me, to give me the opportunity to build a company around it. Right. Like,
was it like a shiny thing that you picked up and couldn't let go and then distracted you from the actual law practice?
100%. Yeah. I'm a big shiny objects guy. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and like founders are. I'm definitely a shiny object. And so, yeah, dude, it was like everything there.
So what happens to the business? Because Dean tells me this all the time, right? Because I'm like the guy who has the ideas, right? Yeah. Has the vision, goes through this ideation on multiple things. And then Dean goes, well, hold on. We have to do something well first in order to fund the dumb idea that you have, right? You say it a little bit nicer, but you're like, you have to be good at something in order to go into another thing. So does the law, obviously
we talk a lot about art projects, right?
Yeah.
I think that's an entrepreneurial journey is having a lot of ideation, a lot of art projects, a lot of creativity, right?
Shiny objects.
Yeah.
Like
shiny.
I like the shiny objects. Or like,
sure. Yeah.
Like that kind of
figure
no,
paintings.
I like building software, right? It's like, especially the front end side is very appealing to me. Drawing people in.
I'm a product guy too.
I can see software that is used in one industry and then borrow the features of that software and then apply it to what we do at Cardiff. It's very fun for me to develop it, but it's also very distracting. Like I don't work in the day-to-day of Cardiff any longer, but like when I did years and years ago, these were awesome distractions. Yeah. And it helped distract me from the pain of, how expensive it was to onboard a customer, find a customer, onboard them. Distracting me from how do I improve the lifetime value of a customer? All the things that like entrepreneurs really need to sort through, work out, and nurture. But so you've got this software project and also this criminal defense firm. You get this bar complaint, you decide that you're going to build a portal, right?
That's exactly what I built.
Yeah, right. Portal. That people can log into, right?
That's right.
And get updates, have transparency about their case.
Yep.
Right. But it obviously distracts you from the practice.
Totally. It completely removed me. I brought a friend in to run my practice basically.
Interesting. Okay.
I basically hired a lawyer to be the lawyer. Yeah. Way better lawyer than I was too.
And where were you, like employee count? How old were you at the time? Like,
well, which for the law firm or for the
law firm before you ventured off? Like,
oh, dude, it was me.
Just you.
It was just me. Yeah. And I think at the time I had a paralegal.
Yeah.
And then at some point I hired this guy, Ryan, who was a friend of mine from law school, but that was all it ever was. The law firm never got bigger than that.
Ever.
What did the revenues for the law firm get to? Just had
my first year was like 750,000.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's like
just the law firm.
That could have been a great business. Yeah. That could have been a great business. Yeah. Yeah, dude, DUIs are hot.
Shout out to Dodd Law.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dodd got some.
You know Dodd?
I know Dodd.
What?
Yeah.
How do you know Dodd?
He's
a Persian mastermind.
We came up together.
Did he go to that law school too?
No, he went to a different law school, but we came up to criminal defense. Like he was at public defender for a while, I think. And then we just, we were colleagues.
Dan Green.
His wife.
Dan Green and I worked together at Pacific Law.
You know Dan Green?
We worked together at Pacific
Dan Green represents people that...
Tell us, Josh. What does Dan Green do?
What do you do?
Shit, are we going back to the sexual thing?
In trouble.
I think sexual assault.
Except tenants.
Is that what Dan Green does? Sexual assault stuff?
Well, he does criminal defense.
Yeah, he defends.
But he specializes in...
There's a specialty.
Very bad things.
I think it's just he represents bad dudes.
Yeah,
but I guess...
but I think, entrepreneurs need people around them who help execute these big dreams and visions.
Okay.
Without that, the business is just an idea factory, right? With no power actually put down to the ground.
Or frees you up with time to think. It sounds like you couldn't have done both, right? Build a website and call back your guy.
No, probably not.
And be in court.
No, but I did for a while, dude. Like the My Case thing was straddling my law firm I was straddling both for like all of 2010.
Nice.
Okay.
So I was, and like, cause basically like, look, at the end of the day, as like in my position, like, I don't know how to code. Right. Yeah. So like, I'm just telling these guys what to build. Right. And then I come back from court. Hey, we finished this up, dude. This looks cool. Okay. We need to put that there. And then we took it to a conference in 2011 in LA. And we were like,
did you have a booth or you like walking around?
Yeah, no, we had a booth.
Okay.
It's my first experience with a trade show.
That's pretty big time.
You want to hear some shit that pissed me off? I can tell you about that experience because that was insane. You guys would probably love to hear that bullshit about unions and the robbery that is trade shows. but I digress.
No. I think we're very familiar. The people that put up the trade show and take it down, they're all union employees.
I fucking walk up. So this was my first trade show. I've never been to a trade show before.
Yeah.
And I walk up, and me and my cousin, who's, he can get, pretty hot, and he's not going to take any shit. But so we walk up, and there's all these massive fucking booths in there. It was at the LA Convention Center downtown.
Yes. Yeah.
And we walk up to like this big roll up thing, right? And I got a backpack, and I got like a wheelie suitcase, right? And I'm like, yeah, we're my case. We're going. She's like, where are you going? We're like, we're booth. She's like, you know what booth number you are? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I see actually our spot, because I can see our sign on the 10x10 booth area. And I'm like, yeah, we're good. She's like, oh, okay. Just wait here, please. We'll help you with your stuff. And I'm like, oh, no. This is all we got. Right. She's like, yeah, no problem. We'll have someone help you. I'm like, it's 50 yards right there. Can I just walk there? She's like, no, we need someone to bring it in. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Some bellhop will help us. Like, I'll tip him $5, right?
Yeah. So
forklift pulls up, right? And the forklift has like this giant, like walled pallet on there. And then you can put your stuff on there. I'm like, okay. So I put my backpack and this little carry suitcase on the thing, and they drive it the 50 yards to the where the booth is, right?
Right.
I'm like, okay. Leave. Get a bill at the end.
No way.
I get a bill at the end of the thing for $1,800.
Yeah,
right. That's wild.
I had no fucking choice. But
shout out to Gompers. Isn't that the guy? Gompers?
Is that the union guy?
I think that's the Jewish attorney, Samuel Gompers. Gompers. He's the guy that started unions in America. It's always the Jews.
Talk about a problem that needs solving.
A little
in a good
communist
way. If you can solve that problem, you can solve the problem of like the union gouging. Like, I'm going to a conference on Monday in Chicago, and someone's going to stop me from putting up my own booth, and they're going to charge me $275 an hour for two guys to stand there and screw shit in.
That's not that bad.
Pretty bad.
$1,800 to carry your briefcase is a bit.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
They've already charged us. So this conference has already charged us $3,500 to allow our boxes to be in their warehouse prior to coming to the booth. I think he's nodding his head. Like he knows what's up.
I think we're in the wrong business. We should buy a warehouse adjacent to a convention center.
This is this is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now you're solving a problem that people have.
Yeah.
And charge half the price.
Charge half the price. Yeah.
But it sounds like you're going to another trade show because you have something else that you're doing.
Well, yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. So
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, are we talking about?
So I leave my case, right?
Yeah.
Dynamite dropping.
That was solid little move. So I leave my case, and ironically enough, I immediately start another software company in the exhibiting space. I was so fed up with trade shows. So I started a company called Expo Guru, which was really designed for marketing departments who do a lot of trade shows to manage it all. Because at my case, we were doing a lot of conferences, and we were doing all that shit on spreadsheets. So I'm like, I'm going to start a company to solve this.
Yeah.
So I did. And then about 9 months I get recruited by this Australian guy who is like the secret godfather of legal tech. Like, he owns all the biggest legal tech companies all over the world except the US. And I had known him for a while, and he's like, I want you to come work for me. I'm like, I can't. I got a non-compete. He's like, well, I have a non-legal company that I want you to come work for, and I want you to set up shop, be the US operations guy. It's a company called Cami, and it was home security cameras and software that goes on the camera. So it was a hardware and a software company based in Sydney, Australia. And so I'm like, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I mothballed that Expo Guru startup and went and took this job at Cami. And he was like, look, after 4 months in April, when your non-compete runs out, let's move you back to a legal company, right? You can take your pick from my legal companies. So 4 months went by, and we were actually having kind of some fun doing this Cami thing. And so he made me global CEO. So I took over as CEO of the whole thing. So now my life was like going back and forth to Sydney, Australia.
That's long
for like almost 2 years.
Yikes.
That's a brutal one.
Yeah, that is brutal.
And working for this guy was real tough. I was the CEO, but that was name only. Like, he as the chairman, it basically controlled everything.
Yeah.
And so then 2017, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out. I want to start my own company again. I want to go back into legal. And the idea for Lawmatics, which is my current company, was something that we had thought about at my case, and the opportunity was still there. And so
Matt, a lot of times when entrepreneurs are building, they're not alone, right? So we have partners, we have folks that we rely on for technology help, Are there folks in your life, in your business that are partners or at that level?
I don't know how to code, right? So like, how do you build software if you don't know how to code?
It's pretty ironic.
Can't really do that, right? So you got to have people around you who can. I've had some good people around me who can build good shit. I've been very fortunate enough to have like a lot of people come with me from company to company.
Yeah.
And so that's been very helpful, like a really great team around me. And I'm like what you just said, it's like, I'm big shiny objects. I'm big, big BHAGs, right? Like big, hairy, audacious goals and and want to just like move real fast and never slow down. And sometimes people around you will bring you back to reality, but like my job is to do that. And their job is to like throttle it back a little bit and make sure that we hit, like I had a board meeting yesterday, and like one of my board members, who's also another employee with me, was like, afterwards was like, I love when you do your thing. You're like going crazy in there about all this shit that we need to do. Yeah. No fucking human being can do that in 2024. Right. So I hope you don't mind. I needed to like make sure we took it back so that the board understood that like, we're not going to do all these things. This is just right.
These are ideas.
Yeah. But it's ironic. You turned into a software guy. You're not, I don't even think you're a lawyer anymore per se.
No, I technically have a license.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's why you were like, if I'm your lawyer, you're fucked. Yeah.
You are fucked. You're in a bad place. If I end up your lawyer, you're in a bad place.
Yeah. So you transitioned to a software guy, I think because of your friend, right? That one guy who was in tech.
Yeah, dude, that was like kind of a catalyst for that.
So the guy who was in tech, whose office was super cool. Yeah. What did he end up doing? I'm curious.
This dude ended up selling his company to Salesforce and ended up like becoming a SVP at Salesforce, and then is now like at a huge venture capital firm in the Bay Area.
Interesting. Okay. He's happy.
It's a big deal.
But not related to Lawmatics in any way.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know what happened to Expo Guru.
Oh yeah, that thing's sitting on ice, man. I think that thing should be fired up and someone should take it. And like, that's a great idea. That shit is still like,
I'd love to get involved in that.
That shit is still like the biggest problem, because we do a lot of trade shows. You want to know how we manage it? On a fucking spreadsheet.
I think many people, it's evolved to Google Sheets.
Yeah.
Right. That's the furthest extent in its evolution. It still has a tail, right? And
they don't go away. Like, conferences aren't going away. People love going.
No, they're back. They're back and they're strong.
They're the best thing ever because it's everyone's escape.
It died in COVID, right? It died in COVID, but then it's now made this huge comeback because, like you said, everybody wants to get away from fill in the blank, right? I don't want to say who it is, but they cook. Am I giving it away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cooking people. And they're also,
sometimes
they know, and they tend to Lilliputians, right?
Yeah.
Micro humans.
That's right.
And it's good to get away.
I'm telling you, this is why conferences are so big.
No matter how shitty the conference
to just get away.
Yeah. No, it doesn't even matter how good the conference is. Dean's like, hey, fire up the jet. We're going to Miami. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And by jet, I mean
Denver first, Miami second. Let's go.
Yeah, JSX doesn't exactly fly to Miami. There's a little stopover. No. Have you flown JSX, by the way?
No, totally. My wife did, but I want to.
Dude, it's
amazing business.
Amazing.
We used to. Did you remember Surf Air?
Yeah.
Talk about a good business. Do you remember that?
It was a membership.
Yeah, we had membership at Appfolio because I was here in San Diego and they had a route from San Diego to Santa Barbara. So we had this like private jet service. Now, when I say jet, I don't mean a jet. It's like a single prop plane.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Not the
Dean's family flies on these private like
single engine
propeller driven
I don't
airplanes.
like when I can see the like thing making
the plane go. Dude. Yeah. The guy's like, everybody ready to go? Great. Give me 1 second. They go outside and they go.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, dude, there's something kind of funny about this. So a lot of people use propeller planes. They're probably called turboprops properly.
Yeah.
Right? Propeller planes to travel.
I don't care what they're fucking called. I'm not going on it.
That's fine.
All right.
But take a look at everybody's Instagram photos when they're traveling on these planes. You will see that magically the propellers are missing from the photo. It's always them in front of the door that's open to the plane, and you cannot see the front of the plane. You can't see the nose.
Cheap.
And so you are wondering, is that a jet?
Yeah.
Is it a jet? No, it's not a jet. Because if the picture's cut off and the nose of the plane's missing or the wings are missing, it's not a jet.
Okay.
But it's very common.
Okay. And these are people that are like looking for followers that want to look rich.
Something like that.
I posted to my story. We got invited to Vegas to go to dinner with a buddy of ours. So we fly JSX out of Carlsbad and, like a 16-year-old girl, I'm like, here's me on the JSX, airplane with Dean, like, hey, smile, right? And then of course, JSX doesn't fly on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. So we were on Southwest coming home. So
we didn't take any pictures.
We didn't take any pictures. No, dude, we were slumming. It was Surf Air, SERF, Surf Air.
Lev was very uncomfortable.
Why was he uncomfortable? What happened?
I think he was just angry about Southwest.
Yeah. Why were you angry? You don't have a mic.
You guys didn't get pre-check.
Oh, that's right.
We had pre-check.
Sorry, Lev.
It just dawned on me, Matt, that you created the software for attorneys and then you sold it to a real estate company. So really,
Oh yeah.
how did that?
Well, they wanted to be.
So you didn't solve anything.
Appfolio is a super interesting enigma.
I love it. I use it every day.
Yeah, Appfolio.
Yeah.
Dude, Appfolio is
all
like
my
a
properties, all
huge,
my
it's
invoices,
a massive company.
They're
Lev, is that
huge.
who your brother works for?
Appfolio?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
We lost him to Appfolio.
Yeah, I mean, look,
He was a great
company.
coder.
But
Shout out to David.
Oh, he's an engineer.
Software engineering.
Yeah. So it's like one of the best engineering teams on the planet. Like that's like what they were so good at.
Yeah.
But so Appfolio, well, the interesting thing is Appfolio's whole business model, their whole like mission statement was to be like mission critical software for business verticals. Right. So choose these verticals and then build foundational software. So they started with it's why it's called Appfolio and not like apartment folio, right?
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be a bunch of apps, right? That were like business critical software. So they started with Property Manager and then they wanted to get into legal. And so they bought my company.
That makes sense.
And quickly, I think what happened was Property Manager just became massive and they started like, increasing their ACV by selling other products into the customer base, right? And that just, they saw such a massive opportunity there that I think they realized they didn't need to be all these other verticals. They could just be property management and become a very, very successful company. And so they sold my company out of Appfolio in 2019. So like a few years after I had left.
It was valuable.
It was valuable. They sold it at that time for 250 million or something like that. And then they sold it to Apex, like a huge private equity firm, right? And Apex, you want to hear a fucking turnaround. So Apex bought this thing for like 250 million, bought a couple other companies and packaged them up, did a really good job, and then found the most amazing buyer at the right time, LawPay, a company called Affinipay. About 2.5 years later, 900 million.
They fixed and flipped it.
Yeah.
Apex just
Josh
crushed it.
Yeah.
They messiahed it.
Yeah. That's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable turnaround. And so, so now Appfolio is just sitting there as just a property manager, but like an $8 or $9 billion market cap on that product alone, which is
help us understand how does this stuff happen? How does it germinate, right? With your first business that you sold, how do you get approached by a company wanting to buy the business?
Yeah.
Are you marketing yourself?
No.
Or?
So that's an interesting tale. Like it was basically a bunch of investors that told us to fuck off. Yeah, pretty much. Like we were trying to raise money for my case. I went to a local investor here and he basically told us to fuck off. But he was like, but you know what? I have like maybe some other guy who also wants to tell you to fuck off. So
it's like that. It really do. Hey,
yeah.
Lev, it really do be like that.
Yeah.
Really
so I went to talk to that guy and he was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But he's like, but I have some other guy who's doing something who like might be similar and may want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And that guy that he introduced me to was Klaus Schausser, who is the founder of Appfolio and ended up buying the company.
Interesting.
Nice.
So it was two investors who told me to fuck off, but they made intros and they got me to the guy who wanted
Why
to buy
didn't you give up after the first two fuck offs? You just knew there was something there, and why didn't you keep it? Why'd you want to?
Aren't you supposed to sulk?
Why didn't I keep the company?
Yeah, why didn't you wouldn't make money or not as much?
Oh, like if I didn't sell?
Yeah.
Wait, was the business pre-revenue?
No, we had some revenue. But I mean, the multiple that we sold for was filthy. I mean, but it was like, that's what happens. That's what happens when you're like, when you don't have a lot of revenue. If you have like, you're doing like $500,000 of ARR, right? Like the company is so little and growing so fast that like, you're not just going to sell it for, 10x revenue. And so you're going to sell it for 5 million. Like it's not going to happen. Right. At least not back then. You're going to you're going to 30x revenue or 40x revenue.
Well, otherwise
right?
it's not interesting.
Right.
What am I going to do with $5 million?
That's right. You're going to keep it for that amount. Right.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
for me, it was, actually it was that same guy, the entrepreneur guy who I told you I liked his office, right? And like buddy. It was an article.
You can give him a shout out.
It was
if he's like
this. Yeah, Alex. Well, yeah.
No one watches.
Alex Bard. Yeah, his name is Alex Bard. I mean, he's local. He's back local now, and I don't talk to him all that much. But he was
Call him up,
he was
dude.
a good friend.
Call him up. Call the guy.
But he's at Red Point Ventures. He's a big huge VC firm, Red Point. But anyhow, he sent me an article when I got the offer from Appfolio, and the article was this thing called about the Freedom Line. Have you ever seen this article? It's a really cool article. I should send it to you.
Freedom what?
It was this article written about like why I decided to sell my company. And it was this concept of like the Freedom Line. And it was like the idea of the Freedom Line, and I'm going to get it a little wrong, but the article is really good.
Is this the Mexican fisherman?
No, it's the Uzbekistan.
Harvard MBA.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think he's an
Fisherman
Uzbek.
story?
I think the guy's an Uzbek.
Oh, interesting. That's closer to where Dean's from.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's right.
Very close.
Or that Romanian R word.
L word.
But the Freedom Line is basically like this finite point on this scale of like money.
Yeah.
And on the left side of the Freedom Line, like as you work, you start to move up, like you get, higher up.
Yeah.
And like on the left side of the Freedom Line, is you may have a very nice life and you're going to pay for college,
right,
and you're going on nice vacations. You're working, right? You're always but you have to work for it all really, really hard, right? And on the right side of that Freedom Line is you don't have to worry, right? Like all that stuff is going to happen, and you don't even technically maybe need to work anymore, right? If you don't want to. And the farther right that you go on the Freedom Line just becomes like, mansions and jets and yachts. But the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life is going from 1 millimeter on the left side of the Freedom Line to 1 millimeter on the right side of the Freedom Line.
Okay.
Right?
I dig it.
And so when I was looking at the deal that was given to me, it moved me to the other side of the Freedom Line.
Yeah.
And so I took it.
Nice.
It was that simple.
It was at 1 millimeter.
I don't know if it was 1 millimeter, but it was enough. It was like,
It was 10.
I'm on the left.
It was 10 mil.
Now I'm on the
20
right.
mil.
Right.
Millimeter.
And so like, I took the deal. It was life changing at that point. And
Well, how did it change your life?
well, it was like, now I'm on the right side of the Freedom Line, right?
Yeah, so what-
like,
describe
I have
that to
less
me.
stress.
Yeah.
And also now it frees me up. So like when I get up to bat the next time, I can swing real fucking hard for a grand slam. And if I miss, it doesn't matter as much. Right.
Okay, yeah.
And so like when I started Lawmatics, I'm like, all right, here's the deal. We're going to be a fucking rocket ship to the moon, or we're going to leave a really big fucking crater. Right. It's going to be one of those two. And I couldn't necessarily have that luxury. I'd be a lot more conservative if I didn't have an exit already. Right. Like if I didn't have that cushion, I think.
How did it change the lifestyle that you led? Did you go from like a 4-bedroom house to like?
It didn't change the lifestyle immediately that much. We did move. We moved from out by Intuit. Like we moved west on the 56.
Yeah,
we did.
moving on up. Moving on up.
Gradual to the ocean.
Yeah. We moved from like the borderline of like Carmel Valley, Rancho Penasquitos,
Yeah.
to like the heart of Carmel Valley.
Dude, you made it.
That was it.
Fucking amazing.
That was it, dude.
Next to doctors and real lawyers.
And then
I do. I live next to real lawyers.
Where, do you,
Yeah,
live,
real
do you
lawyers.
live on the Mesa or something? No, that would be far. That would
I
be
live
the
on.
wrong
I
way.
live on the other side of the canyon from the Mesa. So right. Just on the other side of the 56.
Okay,
Carmel
gotcha.
Valley.
Okay. I mean, it's not like anybody watches this show, but if they did, it's just like an upper middle class suburb of San Diego.
Where I live.
Well, just
Like
like
the Carmel
what
Valley?
we're trying to describe. Yeah, Carmel
Yeah,
Valley.
definitely. Upper middle class, borderline, lower upper class these days.
Lower upper class.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
like,
can't get a house in there for less than $3 million now, right? So it's
Okay.
like
so like a combined household income of like over $1 million, somewhere around there.
probably, or at least 400,000 or 500,000. Yeah.
But not what I meant was each person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Right. Somewhere like
Combined,
that. Like
yeah.
$1
I
million.
think 400 or 500 grand is like entry level at this point, right into that neighborhood.
Yeah.
In terms of
400 or
household
500
income.
grand. You mean 4 or 5 mil?
No, in household
No, in
income.
like, in
Oh, in household
Yeah.
income.
Yeah.
That's poverty line, right?
I think if you have a combined household income of $400,000, you probably live not over there. How would you afford a $20,000 mortgage?
You already owned a home before.
Yeah, how are you getting $20,000? Fuck, I don't have a $20,000 mortgage.
Well,
That's insane.
I think that's what it is, right? If you buy
$3 million,
3% down.
If you're just putting
Why
shit
would you
down,
put 3% down?
Yeah.
20% down, yeah. 8% interest rates.
something like that.
See, that's crazy.
Josh's the math guy on the real estate.
Yeah.
Tell us.
You're right.
Back in
It's
the
like
napkin,
22
it's like
grand.
20, yeah, there you go.
Shit. How do
Yeah.
I afford my house? Fuck.
Hopefully
I
you
gotta
paid
stay
cash.
there for a long time.
You're never moving. That's
Yeah.
another
Right. If you were
podcast.
30
That
years old,
10-year IO that I did a few years ago was a bad idea.
I know a guy.
I remember getting a mortgage on my house, and I always go to Dean for advice. And I was like, well, what should I do? And interest rates at that time, I use Merrill to borrow from.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, interest rates are super low right now, but those IO loans are really interesting. You know, you could probably get like 2.5 or something like that. And I was like, dang. Usually I am the least risk averse person in the world. You know, I'm just like, fire up let's fucking go. Right. I'm like, and he is a risk averse dude. Or he used to be, actually, the actor formerly known as, but I chose a fixed rate mortgage. And then now look at where like mortgage rates are. And
I'm just holding on for dear life, hoping that like 7 years from now.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? There's like, is there going to be an equity event? Because if there's an equity event, then maybe I'll move.
That's right.
But if there is no equity event, I don't pilfer from my company, contrary to what probably people think. But I try not to pilfer from the company. We try to think of the company as, honestly, as a stakeholder in and of itself, right? So you have partners at a company that are stakeholders. You got to sort of treat the company as a stakeholder and pay into that, right?
That's right.
Right. That's what you have to do to keep the company, at least in my opinion, salubrious.
Yeah.
Otherwise you end up running like a lifestyle business.
So that's very right. But but look, as soon as you take, like, I'm a VC backed company, right? Like my like Lawmatics is, I mean, we just closed another round. I think we've raised 22 million or something. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, that's a horse of different color. Like, you have to treat it very differently. Like, right. Like, I think a lot of people, you build a lifestyle business. Like, you know, I got like one of my best friends owns Big Bamboo. He's a big bamboo guy. Big shout out. My best friend,
Like a
Ross.
koala bear?
My best friend Ross.
Flooring?
No, like he owns, actually, you guys have seen it. You're traveling south on the 5 and then you split off to the 805 and there's a big yellow building there called Backyard Escapes.
Sorry, dude. I don't go south to the 56.
Yeah, smart. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
That sounds dangerous.
But so is my buddy. He's like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, importers of bamboo into the United States, right? Sells it like Home Depot and Lowe's and all that shit. It's a lifestyle business. Like, he wants a truck.
Yeah.
The business will buy a truck,
Yeah.
right? Like now I use the truck through business.
Going on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're going to, you know what, like write it off. I'll go to Hawaii. I got a customer out there that does, you know, has the Palapa bar and they need a new roof.
Yeah.
I'll go check it out. I'll write off the whole thing.
Yeah.
I own a software company. I got 22 million in VC. I'm not running shit.
Yeah. Because they're
company,
watching.
right?
So
Like,
Are
I'm
you
a
in a
fiduciary.
minority position?
I'm the largest stakeholder, but I'm in a minority position. Yeah.
Got it.
For
So
sure.
what does that mean in
22
terms of, can they fire you anytime they want?
There's some certain provisions, but at the end of the day, like if my board really wanted me out, they could probably get me out. Yeah.
That's such an interesting position for an entrepreneur to be in.
It's what happens when you take money, right? Like you take money, they're going to want a board seat. They want a board seat. You got to have a board.
You know what? It
Right.
reminds me of this song. And I can't remember who sang this song from the 60s. And it was like
Bob Dylan.
What did he say? What was the line from the Bob Dylan song? You have to serve somebody.
You have to serve somebody.
You have to serve somebody. It's such a good line, right? Because people think, especially like tech oriented companies, right? They're like, oh, if I could just get some seed money, if I just get some VC money, all right, dude, I'll settle for private equity. But most of the times you're just buying a boss, right?
Yeah.
It's better for them than it is for you.
I've always like, you know, this is like, it's a touchy subject for entrepreneurs, especially if you're in like startup world, right? Because like raising money is like, people don't get it. If you've never done it before, you don't understand what it comes with. Now, most of the time, I got to say, like most of the time you're going to, like a VC, they know what they're doing. They're not going to fuck you, right? Like they're there to help you. Like that the company succeeds. And almost every time, they're not betting on the company. They're actually betting on you, right? Like they like you. So they're betting on the horse. And so they don't want you to go anywhere. They want you to succeed. And they usually will be a really big help. But like shit goes sideways sometimes. And like you get in that boardroom and like you're going to get hard questions. And like all of a sudden, this little company that maybe, you know, you were like, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be my company. I'm going to buy trucks through my company. I'm going to do whatever. Now all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. Like I don't like, This is a real company.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like there's an inflection point, like when you get to a certain number, like as a software company, when you get to a certain number of ARR, where it's like, all right, this is a real business now, and we have to think like a real business. And that moment can be a harsh realization for a lot of entrepreneurs who have never been there. Like, wait, shit, like I got to get approval for this, or like I'm not allowed to do this, or they might, make me do something that I didn't necessarily want to do. And it's all, usually for the best.
Talk to us about like the value apart from the money that like VC companies bring. Because I think everyone sees it like as this bright, shiny object, right? If I could just get VC money. But apart from the money that they bring, what other value do they bring? Is it the networking? Is it the...
So listen, some of them don't bring any value, right? Like VCs, like, we could start a fund tomorrow and be VCs, and like, we don't have shit experience in SaaS and we're investing in SaaS companies. Like, how are we going to help them? Right. And the problem is that like, everyone thinks they can be an investor. Everyone gets like an inheritance from their parents and like, let me just start a VC fund. Right. I know a few of those locally, right? That's bad money. And they make it sound like they know what they're doing, but they don't know shit. So like, they'll analyze a deal and then they'll put money in. They're not going to help you at all. And so there's a ton of dumb money out there, but there's a lot of really smart money. And like, the VCs that you want are the VCs that are going to like, the money is 50% of what they give you. And the other 50% is like actually helping you build and scale the business.
So what are the top...
Give us an example.
Yeah. What are like the top 3 things?
Biggest thing I'll tell you right now, hiring. The good VC firm will help you find talent.
And talent, like C-suite talent?
Like C-suite executive talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Have you picked
Real
up
talent.
someone recently that a VC helped to?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a VP of sales that just sat down on January 1, who ultimately, came through that kind of network.
And so what is like his job at Lawmatics? He takes the product and through his network sells it?
No, he builds and manages the sales team.
The sales team.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So is it like, when it's like a new head coach or assistant coach comes to a football team, they bring with them
people?
Yeah.
Totally.
Is it like that?
It is like
everybody
that.
follows
It's like
him?
that to some extent.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're really good people.
Yeah.
That happens, right?
Yeah. I know it's like that in life science, right? Like when somebody leaves.
Well, yeah, like a scientist is like
really
valuable,
but
right?
even like the BD guys,
Yeah,
like
sure.
they bring their team with.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I said is like, I've been fortunate enough, like my core team, like in my executive team, my leadership team generally are people who worked for me at MyCase and then worked for me at Cami and then now work with me at Lawmatics.
But the salespeople didn't come over with?
Some salespeople did, but like, most of the salespeople there is pretty entry level, right? Like just basic account execs. And so, there can be turnover, pretty quickly. And we have a whole SDR team, right? Like the team who does like outbounding. And those are like, there's a lot of turnover there because it's a tough job and not everyone's good at it. You get someone in, you got to churn them out 3 or 4 months in.
And so with this new hire, you're talking about like VP of sales level, right? Brought on through a VC. How do you structure compensation to make it attractive for someone like that, assuming they have amazing sort of Fortune 500 experience?
Yeah.
And who's like structures the comp?
So that's actually a great question.
Because I've never been good at it.
So I'm not good at it either.
Okay, great.
I'm not a sales guy, right? I'm not a sales guy. I have no idea. So
You're not a sales guy?
So you want to know who helps me? I'm not really a sales guy. Yeah. I can sell the shit out of my product. But
There you go.
I've never been in sales.
Yeah.
Maybe I am. Maybe that is what I am. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sales guy.
I like saying I'm a sales guy.
I'm not a sales guy. And yet all of last week, that's all I did.
That's all you did. Yeah. But so you want to know who helped me with comp? Fucking VCs.
Interesting.
Because they've done it. They know it.
Yeah.
Right. So they help me. But also the candidate himself. Like, I go to him. I'm like, hey, dude, how do you want this thing structured? Like, what does this look like?
So take us through it. Do you get to interview him? Yeah. Like give us some color on that.
Yeah. I mean, equity, of course. Equity is a big piece. Like the right guy is going to want equity. Right. Like C-suite hires, VP hires at a startup like mine. Like I got to be prepared, half a point, a full % of the company at this point. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But look, like if
you have 20,
if I'm
That's
thinking
a
valuation,
future valuation or of today's value?
well, so they're options. They're usually options. And then they're at like whatever strike price, right? Like, after a 409A,
Okay.
but like, the beauty of it is like all that shit vests, right? So like you got a guy like this coming on big time, and he's gonna, his stock will vest over 4 years, and he doesn't get shit if he's out in the first year. So it's like a 12-month cliff, right? Yeah. And like that's like I love that mechanism as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, because like I know I'm gonna get something from my equity, right? Like if this guy sucks within the first year, then he can fuck off, and I don't lose any equity, which is the most valuable thing to me. I don't care about a little bit of the cash, like paying the salary, right? And then I know that like he's gonna get a full percent or whatever it is, but that's after 4 fucking years. So if he's still here, guy killed it. Right. Yeah. And it was worth every penny.
And give us a little insight into the mind of someone like this. Is it enough for him to believe that this company could be valued at $100 million and he gets a $1 million? Or is that chump change to someone like this? So we're talking about hundreds of millions.
I'm selling like, when I'm talking to him, like the right candidate always asks like, what do you want? Like, what's your goal with the company? Right. And this is like, if I could give any advice to entrepreneur, I would say it would kind of be along these lines, which is like, you will get a lot of people who are they straight up build a company just to try to sell it real quick. Right. And so they end up building just a giant bag of dicks. Right. Like it's just a pile of shit.
That would have been such a good fucking clip if he didn't say bag of dicks. Should I think it still is. Maybe. I love it. But take us through that.
You end up building a giant pile of shit, right? Because you're not making this, you're making decisions, you're cutting corners. Right. You're just hacking something together and trying to get something to like a level.
These are like revenue targets.
Yeah. Revenue targets. Like you're just like, all right, no matter the cost, I'm just going to get to this point really quickly and I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
Right?
How often have we heard that, Dan?
Maybe your churn sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not the way I've ever operated. Like my goal with my company is to build a multi-billion-dollar long lasting company, which means it might not happen as quick as some other companies, but we're going to make decisions the right way, right? We're going to build a sound company. Now, there's going to be a lot of offers and a lot of shit that comes up along the way. And so maybe we don't end up getting there ourselves. Maybe we do a deal. Maybe at some point we sell. Maybe at some point we recap, we do whatever. But the point is that we're going about it in a certain way, and it creates a certain type of company. And so that's what I say to a candidate like this, is that like, my goal is to build a company that like my kids could work at when they're older, right? Like a long lasting, like I want to build Google, I want to build Meta, right? Like, and that's, I think what someone like that who's like, okay, well, cool. My 1% will be worth $100 million.
And does the VC firm that backs you, do they give you that latitude where it's like, all right, do what you want, take as long as you want, have the longest runway ever? Or is it like, hit these revenue targets, right? Because we're going to find a buyer if we don't have an exit within 5 years.
I've never taken on a VC. I say the same thing to my VCs. Like they're going to know like, well, what's your exit strategy? And I'm like, I'm honestly, maybe other entrepreneurs aren't going to tell you this. I don't have an exit strategy. Jesus. My exit strategy is
Jason Bourne.
I'm going to buy other companies. And then maybe that means we IPO, right? But like, I don't have an exit strategy. I'm not like, I'm going to sell to this guy in a year, right? Or whatever it is.
And they're okay with that timeline?
They got,
patient money.
Yeah, I think they're like, okay, like you want to build a fucking $1 billion company. We're in, we're in on that.
The VC company that has invested in Lawmatics, what are some other notable software or like software as service?
Well, we have a lot of partners, a lot of VCs. I mean, one of them is a pretty big firm. It's called ENIAC Ventures. Like a seed stage fund, mainly out of the Bay Area, and they've invested in some pretty awesome stuff, like some really big exits. Another one that's like popped up in my mind recently is like another one of our investors is invested in like, because I've seen it all over Instagram and TikTok, is it's a pan company called Caraway.
Oh, interesting.
Like like pans, cooking pans, and they're like fucking killing it.
I don't know that company, but I know the one that's popular right now with Gordon Ramsay. I can't.
Yeah, Hexclad. Yeah. It's a very similar thing, but they're killing it. So we have some like big, like we have Forefront Venture Partners is on our cap table, and that's like the venture fund that is kind of what's her name from Shark Tank, the older woman,
Barbara.
It's Barbara Corcoran's like venture firm.
Yeah.
It's run by a guy named Phil, and they're on our cap table.
Oh, wow.
And pretty active. So they have some really interesting investments.
Yeah.
But it seems like you're very strategic with your selections of like VCs. I think you have you've done your research on that end, right? It's not like you're
because
picking.
it's like the same shit that we were talking about earlier. It's like you can have dumb money. Like you can have someone who's just a check and then they don't help you at all.
Yeah.
Or you can get a check that actually helps you. So like, why would you take a check that doesn't help if you can take a check that does help?
Yeah.
Right.
And saying no, right? It sounds like you said no to a lot of people before you got to where you're at.
I said no. Yeah. In my case, a lot. With Lawmatics, like there's been like raising money. We've had our, some challenges with it at times where it's not like I got all the people and it's not like people are just throwing money at us at one stage. Like we're in a good spot now, but like, so not as selective, but still making sure that it's going to be like, you got to be aligned. Like, I think that's the key, right? Like you have to be aligned. Like your interests need to be aligned. They need to know what you are planning to do with your company. Because certain VCs have different ideas, right? And if those don't align, I think that's when shit can get pretty wonky.
How often is the VC or the VCs in general, how often are they checking in with you?
As often as I want.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds a good deal.
Yeah. Sounds nothing like private equity. Well,
private equity is like way different. Yeah. That's a whole different beast. But like
that's the bag of dicks.
That's a bag of dicks.
That is such a bag of dicks.
Well, that's like, it's kind of no bag because usually
just straight up large.
Usually private equity comes in and then you're out.
Yeah.
Right. Like
because they're taking a controlling interest.
Yeah. They're like removing all management and putting in their like Stanford MBAs that are like an army just sitting there waiting. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's interesting. Yeah.
That's not for me.
Bringing it back to a little bit for the audience in terms of this interaction with potential employees.
We have an audience. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like at least 3 people.
Yeah.
And so you got this interaction, right? And we think it's an interview. And so the person being interviewed is in the hot seat. But I think if it's a C-level person, a lot of times you're the one in the hot seat.
Just as much.
What's it like? What's the most difficult question that you get asked by someone at that level?
I mean, I think there's always the question of like, the right person will ask, like, what keeps you up at night? Like, why is this business going to, like, what would make this business fail? Right. Want to know about anybody in this previous position, like why aren't they there? Okay. That's always, one that I'm going to try to shoot straight on. Right. But I think the toughest question we already kind of hit on, which was just like, what do you want to do with this thing? And like, I'm a sales guy at that point, right? Like
Absolutely.
I got to sell my vision.
Yeah.
And it's not bullshit. So it's pretty easy for me to sell it, but, you got to be convincing, right? I mean, and I'm asking, look, like, I think like one of the hardest things about being a founder, being a CEO is the people. I mean, like, that's really what it is. Right. And like, I've got people, like I care very deeply about all my employees. I'm a very loyal guy, maybe to a fault, but like, in a lot of ways, I'm responsible. Like they've chosen to place their career. Like this guy is leaving a company that's doing really well. Like just got acquired by, private equity is like, $90 million ARR company.
Yeah.
And like, he's going to leave to come, work at the company I'm building.
And so like promise, right?
If I fuck it up for him, like I feel real bad. Right.
Well, hold on. Don't feel like that.
Well,
right. Don't feel like that. Cause I think Dean and I had this. Didn't we have that same sort of feeling for a long time where it's like, what can I provide? What can I provide? What can I provide?
I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we feel like we're in the hot seat with employees more than they're in the hot seat with us.
Yeah. It's a really unhealthy paradigm, I think, and I feel like this is part of the founder syndrome where you've been there from the beginning and you've struggled to kind of put the pieces together. You can see the mosaic because you can stand back now, right? Mm-hmm. You can see how the pieces fit together. But then when what you think are important people come into the company and they haven't been there from the jump off point. And so you're trying to sell them on this vision and it comes off really salesy, right? And it comes off as, well, it stinks of desperation. And you're like, well, what can I provide for you? And I think this was a big lesson for us to learn as founders. We're no longer obviously like intimately involved in the business, but I think for a long time, Dean and I struggled with this where you'd bring people in and you'd have to like sell them on the vision.
Totally.
And then you'd leave that boardroom having interviewed them, feeling that you were interviewing for this position. You felt desperate. You felt terrible. You felt cheap. And I think it's a really unhealthy feeling to have. I think, towards the end of like my stewardship, let's say, of Cardiff, I remember talking to like the C-suite and being like, I'm out, right? I don't want to be involved in it doesn't matter like the level of employee. I don't want to be involved with the picking, the choosing, the people, the comp writing, any of that. I'm not good at it. I know my strengths,
Totally.
but I also have PTSD from having built this company over the last 20 years where I still feel like desperate.
It's imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But this is like the most common founder story, right? Like founder builds a company, we're big shiny object, we're like vision guys, and then the company gets to 100 people and you're like, every day my problem is people, not product. And then they want out, right? And then some other CEO comes in and that's such a common thing.
Yeah. Yesterday we're trying to build a relationship with this guy Pace Morby. Right, he's one of the biggest real estate influencers out there today.
You know this guy. We met him at Dan's thing over the weekend.
Yeah.
Pace
Morby.
Pace Morby.
One of the most successful guys.
Like a peace sign on his hat.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had a meeting scheduled with us. And maybe 15 minutes before the meeting, he said...
No, he gave us like 45 minutes.
45 minutes right before the meeting.
He gave us a good heads up.
He said, I've got a people issue. Right? And so Pace, the CEO, has a big enough people issue that he's canceling meetings to deal with.
Yeah. When your problem,
What'd you say, John?
He didn't want to talk to Dean. That's why.
Oh, I think on the contrary, I mean, the funny part about where we are today, and I know you have something to say, I'll make this quick.
No.
People want something from us. It's very rare we want anything from anyone. People always are like, what can I get from these guys? Can I meet these guys? Can I have lunch with these? I don't want to have lunch with anyone. I don't know about you. Do you get these offers like, hey, the pitch deck and da-da-da-da-da, I would love to meet with you, right?
All the time.
I don't want to have lunch with fucking anyone. Lev, chop up this clip and send it to my boy, Robert Croak. I was at a breakout group with him on Saturday, and this guy's immensely popular as like a financial influencer on the internet. Very prominent guy. And we were chit-chatting. He runs his family office right now, but we were chit-chatting about how these offers come in and how distracting they are. And at this point in our careers, everybody wants something. So going back to this Pace Morby thing, we don't need anything from him. It's what can we provide or what he can provide for us. Mm-hmm. And in return, is there a synergy there? But yeah, I think the only way that we can now have that self-awareness about who we've become, as opposed to being domiciled and trapped as a hostage in our own sort of prison that we've built, was to move away from what we've built over the last 20 years. And sort of like that same thing that when Buddha, right, the story of the Buddha, when he was able to leave the gates of his palace, then he saw suffering, right? And that's when he like was able to like achieve, what is it called?
Enlightenment.
Total consciousness.
Yeah, total consciousness. So buy my book. But in that same way, right, it was not that we needed to like exit the palace gates to see suffering, to witness suffering, right? It was more like we were suffering behind these gates.
Yeah.
So once we were able to exit the gates of this palace, which is actually a prison, right, that we built. It was a prison. It was a prison that we built for ourselves. Then we were able to realize, wow, people need stuff from us, right? People want to partner with us, joint ventures, JVs. We're valued people. But inside the organization, we had the founder syndrome. So go.
No, I mean, I agree with you completely. And I think it takes, the problem is like what you just described and what you actually went through. Not a lot of people are able to like have the self-awareness to do that, right? Like founders, like we have egos, right? We're
Do you have an ego? You don't even seem like you have an ego.
I probably do have an ego. I think I'm also like, I also think, and this is like, I've been watching a lot of the shows. I watched like We Crashed just recently.
I don't know what that is.
Like the story of WeWork.
Oh.
Right? And then I also watched Super Pumped, which is the story of Uber, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
And what I realized is something that I think I always knew, but like if you want to really like disrupt, you're going to build a big software company, you've got to be a bit of an asshole, right? Like this is not like a nice guy thing. And like, I think I'm a nice guy in general, but like, I definitely know I'm also an asshole.
Dean and I were just talking about this, right?
About me being an asshole?
I was like, damn.
No, but this is a good point, right?
No.
This is a really good point
Just about how you have to be an asshole.
Yeah. You do have to be an asshole, and like watch those shows because you're going to see like these guys were real assholes. They built fucking unbelievable companies, right?
It's like
and
the
you
Hitler
also
thing,
like,
right? Like,
well, but it's like, it's a competitive thing. It's like honestly, like I'm good at building company because all I want to do is fucking win.
right.
That's all I want.
Okay.
Like,
So there's the,
Another
like-
great point.
Yeah.
like I want, like I look at, some other people are like competitive, like, oh, there's room in this space for all of us, whatever. And I'm like,
Enough meat
no,
on the
I want to
bone.
fucking kill you and take your company. Right. Like,
And who
that's
is
what
that? Tell us about who that is.
that's what I'm looking at. So
Who is the competition?
in my world,
Yeah, absolutely.
there's actually not a lot of competition in my world. What we're doing, most of our, like, we're pretty unique as like a CRM and marketing automation platform for law firms and professional services. And so there's not a lot, but like a great story, like who actually is now a dear friend of mine, this guy, Jack Newton, who is the CEO of Clio, which is like the biggest company in our space.
interesting.
And he's done an amazing job. It was actually a product I used as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And when I started the client portal, his product didn't do that. And I was like, oh man, I need to build it. Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened.
That's funny.
But the story, and Jack and I, we've joked about this since, but I mean, and Clio now is, 1,000 people and probably over 150 million of ARR. Like he's built a really amazing business. But back in the day, I started MyCase and he had like a 1.5 year head start with Clio, and MyCase was a direct competitor to Clio. And we were at a little restaurant in New York when we were launching MyCase, and it was like a dinner someone was holding for solo and small law firms. And Jack, and I had known about Jack, he didn't know who the fuck I was. I was a nobody, but I knew who he was because I knew Clio. And we're sitting like at a table together, right? And like, so everyone's chit chatting and talking, and at some point I'm like, we start talking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on MyCase, and he's like, oh, like interesting what you're doing, and at one point he just like, almost a little condescendingly, he's like, well, good luck, right?
Jesus Christ.
And I was like, I'm like, I said to him, and like, kind of right away, I'm like, I don't need luck.
Oh,
I'm like,
fuck.
the way I'm like,
Let's fucking go,
I'm
dude.
like, the way that this is I'm like, you're MySpace and we're Facebook. And
did
that
you
was
say that?
Yeah, I said it right. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, so
And so I set the stage for that relationship like really early on. And like we were like vicious competitors. Like we really didn't like each other. Again, we are now like, I consider him a pretty good friend. And
you know what this,
together.
reminds me of? You remember that book? The book was that was written by the business coach. No, it was Eric Schmidt's book
About the business.
the business coach.
Yeah.
Did you read this book?
No.
You know Eric Schmidt, the Google guy?
I know Eric Schmidt. Yeah.
Can I tell a quick story?
I love it.
This is a good story because we're all about business coaches, and we should probably talk about this before we end. Eric Schmidt. Well, sorry, let me back up. Apple is out of money, and they bring back Steve Jobs to run it.
Yeah. The big triumphant return. Yeah.
Triumphant return, and they get some money from Google, right? And ironically, they get money from Google, and Eric Schmidt buys himself a seat on the board. What no one realizes, but Steve Jobs and Eric Schmidt, is that they share the same business coach. Okay. And the iPhone was about to be launched. And I want to say it launched in 2008. And I think this meeting is in 2007. So just close your eyes and just imagine you've got Steve Jobs in a boardroom, right? Black turtleneck, blue jeans, New Balance sneakers, right? And he's like holding up his iPhone. He's like, this, and he's talking to his board members, is the future. And Eric Schmidt's like, uh-huh. Yeah, do tell. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, as he's writing in his Chromebook or whatever. So Eric Schmidt, of course, goes back to Google and says, we're building an Android phone. So figure it out. And of course, Steve Jobs gets wind of it, and he sends a very famous email where he says, Eric, if you intend to produce a competitor to the iPhone, Apple will wage thermonuclear war against Google. And Dean has this favorite quote about gun runners, right? When two gun runners
go to war, there's no shortage of ammunition.
Right. It's a brilliant quote, but it reminds me of the company that you sold.
Yeah, My Case.
My Case.
Yeah.
It reminds me of My Case, and it was Clio, right?
Clio, yeah.
The sort of My Case and Clio. It's
Totally.
like you guys meet up. You're like, this is my iPhone. He's like, this is my Android. And a lot of times I think in business, when you have that, I'm going to call it from my vantage point, third party perspective, very unhealthy relationship with a competitor, you can actually get distracted with building your company because you're always looking at what the competitor's doing.
Totally.
Talk about that real quick. Cause it's like,
Yeah.
Doug DeMuro.
Yeah, there is
Doug
like,
DeMuro.
no.
He's the car guy.
Cars and bids.
Oh, okay.
He does
Yeah.
these YouTubes. And he's like, these are the
I've
quirks
seen
and
the guy.
features, right? You're looking at a competitor going, those are the quirks and features. Then you go back, you run back to your tech team. You're like,
That's right.
jump on this.
There's a big difference between being really competitive and wanting to destroy your competitors and obsessing over what they're doing in order to get there. That's a huge, like,
Did that happen, though?
That is no, but I can't say that, like, we were always aware, like if they launched something, we were always aware of what they were doing. Right. And like, it definitely, and you go to these conferences, right? The conferences are the worst echo chamber. Like they're the echo chamber, right? You go to a conference and the competitor makes an announcement and you're like, fuck, I can't believe they announced that. Like, oh my God, that's going to be the end of it. You know what I mean? Like we're never going to recover from this. You go home and you're like, wait, what'd they launch? Right? Like, so like definitely I would fall into that trap, especially early on. But like very quickly realize that like, I can be competitive. I can want to destroy you. I don't have to copy everything you're doing in order to do it.
So who won the battle or who won the war, I guess?
Well, in that, I mean, I don't know that both those companies are really big, right? They've both.
Did he exit this guy?
No. He's still running Clio. It's a massive, massive company. It's become like the immovable object in legal.
This is like 100 million ARR.
Way more than 100 million of ARR. And he's done a fucking amazing job. It's super impressive.
And how long has he been in this same, like, how long has he been running this company?
Since 2008.
Oh, I'm out. Not interested.
Which is really interesting, right? And it's actually, truth be told, Jack, if you're watching, this is one of the things.
We'll send him the clip.
Yeah.
Lev, right?
And I've told them this too. Like,
code for this.
It's wildly impressive because it's very, very rare that you have somebody that goes through the founding story like that.
Yeah.
And then also stewards the company as the CEO to 200 million of ARR.
It's very rare.
It's super rare.
You can name it like on one hand. You've got like Sir Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon. I can't.
There are. I mean, there's a lot of companies that like we don't know that like probably have done that, right?
Harman Kardon, Sidney Harman was a guy like this. Probably ran it
into the fucking ground. Into the fucking.
That's what happens.
That
So often
company's worth. That's
founder,
like a penny stock or something, isn't it?
I think it got sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like it's one of the challenges for my own self is like I want to steward the company to 200 million, right? So like can I do it? Like I don't know if I can do it. I think I can, but like I got to do it first. But like it's super impressive to see that. There's another guy, actually one of my board members who's a local guy. Do you guys know the company Soshi?
No.
Yeah. Why do I know that name, Soshi?
So Soshi is like probably the biggest tech company in San Diego that like, and maybe you don't even know that well. It's a buddy of mine, Afif, who founded the company. They do social media management. It's a software company. But they're now like big enterprise software. They started as like little agency software.
How do you spell it?
Soshi, SOCI. And Afif he's on my board. And he's a guy I remember when he came into my office at My Case. He was an attorney. He had like a little venture fund, and he came into my office in My Case in like 2013 or 2014. And he's like, "Dude, I'm going to finally start a company. Like, I have this idea. What do you think? Like, sound cool? I want to show it to you." And then now it's like 200 million of ARR, and it's like worth over 2 billion. And he's the guy who founded it. And he's leading it as CEO and leading it very, very well.
And do you have a chip on your shoulder now? I mean, it sounds like you had a good battle back then, but do you have anyone you're battling now? Like what drives you to?
Yeah, don't mention them by name, but like
you got to find, like, you got to have an opponent, right?
Yeah. So what is it now? It seems like you learned from the past experiences, but maybe that softened you up a little bit, or no? What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely didn't. I mean, like, that's still what, like, I'm a competitor and like, I just want to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And so there's been like little companies that pop up. There's little companies that pop up that like try to do a little bit about what we do. And like, that gives me a little motivation to be like, let's go fuck them up. Yeah. But I think it's good. Like, I think the competition is really good in that environment. Like, I think it drives founders to like do cool shit. I think at the end of the day, I think the customer benefits. Right. If you've got one, it's like if you've just got one company that's kind of like that doesn't have any competition, doesn't have any competitors, and they're like, all right, well, what do I need? Why am I going to work super hard to make something amazing when like I already own it? Right. Yeah. So like having this competition and then founders who want to go after each other a little bit or just want to win the market, like ultimately results in good product and like, better for the customer.
Yeah, I have an example like from our own industry, right? Like we're not going to name names or anything like that, but the way our company operates, the way Cardiff operates, is we get all of our leads, right? All of our sales is from digital marketing.
Yep.
And perfecting the online onboarding of that customer, like, they go online, they see the ad, they click. There are so many companies that don't understand how to properly onboard a customer and have unnecessary headwinds that they present, right, to the applicant in order for the applicant to get what they need, right? And that's generally, these are like software issues, APIs with third parties, but I think one of the ways that our company, I feel like, leads our industry is that we're very tech forward. Mm-hmm. And so we try to make that onboarding as smooth as we can. But I can name, and I'm not going to, but I could name, like the 10 largest competitors that we have in the space where it's like, fill out our online application, right? And it's like using, whatever antiquated versions of JavaScript or something like that. And it's like, you're waiting for the page to load and it's, whatever, it's not mobile friendly enough or something like that. But I think what you said is true, where two competitors that are battling it out in the marketplace for market share ultimately ends up providing a better product to the end user. Right?
It sort of has to happen that way right now, because like your description there, like, so that like shitty company with the bad JavaScript, like if they want to compete with you, if they want to try to take you out, well, they're not going to do it with shitty product. Right. They're going to have to improve something. Yeah.
And that ultimately benefits the customer. Yeah. And I think that's what tech is, right? Tech is just providing ultimately a better experience to a customer. Totally. And it can be done like you seem to be domiciled most notably, right, in the law field.
Yeah.
But what you're saying about Lawmatics is it's not just law. You're talking about marketing. And I know we don't have much time left. We got like 15 minutes, but I want to hear about, aren't you interested to hear about like the marketing side? Because I think for lawyers, you don't really have that many different like lawyer type avatars. You've got the guy that likes to go to court. You've got the entrepreneurial guy, right? And maybe also the guy that just likes to do marketing. All of them might have a law degree, right? That's what they share in common. But the avatar of each of those three is completely different.
Yeah, but there's really the main avatar from the guy who is practicing law is the guy who wants to practice law. It's almost why we do what we do, because so many of them just they don't know how to run a business. They don't know how to market.
So how do you market? Like, what does Lawmatics provide to help them market?
Well, so we provide one of the biggest things is when you think about any professional service industry, but most notably law, it's where do you think most of the clients come from?
Where do they come from?
For referrals.
Really?
75% of business at a law firm in general comes from referrals. It's like someone's like, hey, like, because if you needed a family lawyer right now, if you're going to get divorced, maybe that's not a great thing. If you needed a sexual assault attorney,
and he looked at you. That's so great.
I don't even have a camera, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
He's looking at you.
What?
He's not looking at only 2-3 cameras.
Not looking at me, dude.
You know?
I stopped doing that years ago. What's the statute of limitations on that?
but like, what would you do? You would ask a buddy, right? You would ask a buddy.
I think it would go on Google, actually.
Maybe you would, because you wouldn't want it. You'd be embarrassed about asking for that.
Yeah.
But like, what if you needed like to form a corporation? You would go, like, you need an attorney for that. You'd probably ask a buddy.
I'd go to Prime Corporate Services. Get that time code. Get that time code. I want to send it to my boy Steve Harward.
But so like the idea is like you refer, right? And like if you're a personal injury lawyer and like you're somebody who had a good experience with a lawyer, and then another buddy, slips and falls, gets in a car accident, you're going to be like, hey, call my buddy Brian. Like, he's a good lawyer, right? It's just where most of the business comes from. So what we enable is like the ability for these lawyers to stay top of mind. Like, that's what lawyers suck at doing. We all know how to do this shit because we've been doing it forever. But like, if you ask a lawyer what a drip campaign is, they're going to look at you like you have 4 fucking eyes, right? Like, they have no idea what a drip campaign is. So we make it easy for them, right? We enable them to like create those things and communicate with their clients in a way that they really haven't done. Like, so is your email marketing.
So is your marketing automation platform, is it actually like an API into another company, or are you actually
No. It is our own, we basically have built HubSpot for law firms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's
so CRM.
Yeah, dude.
Marketing automation.
CRM, marketing automation. We do e-signature. We do scheduling like Calendly and Acuity. We have the most amazing online custom forms.
So this really is a HubSpot for lawyers.
Yeah, it's really a HubSpot for lawyers.
Does that even exist?
Well, yeah, because Lawmatics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about how a lawyer acquires customers, right? 75% referrals. But what about Lawmatics, right? I feel like Cardiff spends
a shitload,
hundreds of thousands of dollars each month on digital marketing.
Yeah.
And I feel like Lawmatics probably in the same,
it's the same boat,
same place.
It's a little like, there's a diminishing returns that you can hit pretty quickly on that, right? So I think,
what does it cost to acquire a customer for Lawmatics?
Well, if it's like all in, like across the board, probably costs about $3,000.
Jeez, I wish we had a $3,000 CPA or CAC. Right. Either way.
Yeah.
Ours is what's the lifetime value?
Yeah, but you're 7.
Yeah, but like, how much does your customer spend in a year?
On average, I think if the average loan size is $50,000, maybe they buy from us 3, 4, 5 times in their tenure with us.
But like, you just have different metrics. Like, unit economics in a SaaS company is like, you're good if you recover your acquisition cost within the first year. That's like a target.
I think, yeah, Dean, doesn't that sound kind of similar?
We are in the same boat, right? Wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So we live and
hope to get them on the renewal. It's like an insurance company, right?
Yeah, so most of them, like, look, the lifetime of a customer of ours is going to be pretty long. It's pretty sticky. But like,
how many years is that?
Oh, I mean, well, we've only been around for we've only been selling the product for like 5 years. It's like around, it's that.
So it's
that.
that.
We don't, I mean, we have churn, but it's pretty sticky, right?
Is the product like Salesforce? When you sign somebody up, it's like, this is a 1 year, this is a 2 year, this is a 3 year.
We typically do 1 year. We're experimenting with longer. And like, I think that's on the roadmap, especially we're starting to really focus on bigger law firms, not the smaller law firms.
So what's like a small law firm is
law firm is like 1 to 2 lawyers. Like,
what's a medium size?
Medium size is like maybe 5 to 50, and then larger is like 50 to a couple hundred, and then you've got like the really big firms with thousands and thousands of lawyers.
So does a company like Shepherd Mullen use a marketing automation?
Probably not, and they wouldn't use our product as it is now. We wouldn't even sell it to them. But we're going to be focusing more on like an aspect of the product that maybe would be valuable to someone like that.
Does a Shepherd Mullen, and I don't know why you brought it up.
I mentioned that name.
You mentioned that name.
I think their office is
like a white shoe law firm.
Yeah.
They're in Entrepreneurial, so they're close to us.
I feel like our office was next to Shepherd Mullen.
Yeah, super close.
We were on High Bluff.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but that's kind of like a white shoe law firm, right?
Yeah.
Do they have marketing automation?
Probably not. No. Okay. You got to think more like what we market to our consumer law firms. Okay. So think about it like all of us around this table. What would we ever need a lawyer for personally? Right?
Divorce,
wills and estates.
Yeah, wills, like estate planning, family law, side. Personal injury, maybe. Yeah. You might need criminal defense.
Sexual assault. Get it right here. Get it right here. Sexual assault.
Hey, wait, watch this one. Yeah. Watch this one. Immigration.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding. Open the gate.
I got those papers a long time ago. What's the problem?
Are you a lawyer? Are you official?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I have a U.S. passport. It's amazing. but my name's not Dean.
I don't think that, you could get that at like a bazaar in San Ysidro.
Got like
I
3
did.
of those.
Yeah, it's not really that impressive.
Yeah, there was a little stand in San Ysidro.
The guy named Luchin sold it to you.
He did.
Luchin. Yeah,
He did.
Luchin. He was selling pistachios the day before, rugs the day before that, and then it was passports the day you came.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah. But like, so we sell to them, right? Like that's who you're going to need to hire. And like, that's volume, right? That's a law firm that's marketing. That's a law firm that's like putting their name out there, buying ads on Google and like looking for volume.
So can you use like influencers or affiliates in this space?
You can. A big thing for us are agencies. There's actually a lot of agencies out there that help law firms market, like do the front end marketing, like help them buy their ads on Google, help them manage their website. And so those are big partners for us. In legal, there aren't a lot of influencers. There aren't a lot of it's not a big social media game. So it's not really a huge thing for us.
We see a ton of this on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
I think it's growing.
What, the law?
Yeah.
The legal stuff.
There are a few guys. There are a few people, and it is definitely growing, but it's not like
some of the good personalities crush it, right? Some of the good personalities. I feel like there are probably less than 10 that are like great marketers that do it.
Like Dodd, our friend Dodd. He's doing some good
He's kind of crushing
doing
it
a good
on
job.
TikTok. Yeah.
And he's evolving. You can see that he's pivoting right from one style of shooting a video to a new style.
Yeah. He had like one that went really viral.
Is that right?
I can't remember what it was. I can't remember, but it was like
throw your gun away.
It may have been something like that.
It was, the ones I like are like, they're standing outside of a courtroom. It's a lawyer and purportedly his client in a criminal defense. The perp. Yeah. And he's like, just got my buddy, just got my client off. There were 3 counts of this and that. And he used drugs and they said he had a weapon. He's like pushing his arm down. And he's like, and then DUI. And the guy's like going like that. He's like, but I got him off. Right. And that's like that's his shtick. I don't think it's true, obviously, but it was just like a testimonial, if you will. Yeah. But irony, and humor and exaggeration, right? Like, and that's what makes it not like the influencers like, well, let's watch this accident. Wow, you can see the motorcyclist isn't paying attention.
It's like, it's shit like what you just said. It's like, it's kind of like, it's almost tongue in cheek. It's like how to get rid of your weapon, right? Like giving advice to these, like, actually you want something funny that the way I used to get business, I got a lot of business at my law firm when I was like, I did all the ads. But one of the ways was my cousin, another one of my cousins was in SAE at San Diego State.
Oh, there you go.
And so
didn't they get like, never mind.
So I'm like, Kyle, I'm like, listen, I'm like, I want you to tell your president that your cousin who's a criminal defense lawyer is going to come in and is going to talk to everyone in the fraternity about how not to get in trouble and what to do if you get pulled over by a cop or like in trouble. And so I would go into the fraternities and I would give them lectures on like, this is what to do if you get pulled over with suspicion of DUI. This is how to like make sure you don't get like charged with rape or something, right? Like I was giving them all this advice. I'm like, I didn't look at Josh. But so I was like giving all these like kids in college advice on what to do, like with the cops. I had so much fucking business from these guys. Cause then what happened? Well, they went out and got a DUI and they were great cases because they're coming and be like, I did exactly what you said. I didn't tell the cop shit. I didn't do any field sobriety tests. I'm like, this is fucking great.
Yeah. And that's what these things are, right? Like these lawyers on social media, on TikTok, Instagram.
They're lead funnels.
They're lead funnels, just like yours, right?
Yeah.
He makes funny and ironic videos about fix and flips. Right?
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that those attorneys who are doing these lead funnels need your service, I think, more than anyone.
So you're 100% right because they do this shit. They get the leads in. They have no idea what to do with them. It's all
squandered. Yeah, it's all gone.
So like our product is going to like automate everything. It's like someone's going to come to your website or call you and they're going to get a text message immediately with a link to schedule a consultation. As soon as they schedule that consultation.
Fuck the TCPA, right?
Yeah.
Just fucking text them, bro.
Well, we do text them.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Let me make sure. And then like
there's a disclosure.
Then they get their consultation set up and immediately they have Lawmatic send them an intake form. Yeah. So they're getting all their information. Like everything is done. They haven't
e-sign, everything like that.
E-signature, all that shit.
To your point with referrals, these guys are just taking that lead and handing them off to another attorney. They're not even going through that. So if you can plug them into your own Lawmatic CRM, it's going to be game changing.
It's game changing. And so like the hard part about it and like maybe you experience a little bit of the same, but it's like with lawyers, like the education on this stuff is hard though, right? Because this is foreign to them. So like they don't know how to, so it's like, hey, just like put them in your funnel and then like move them through the process and like create these automations here. They're like, what?
Yeah. You should speak at this. Yeah, we're out of time, but you should speak at this conference called Traffic and Conversion. You ever heard of this? TNC?
No.
Dude, dude, I could probably introduce you to someone that could get you on stage. Right now you're domiciled into law, which I get.
Not for long.
That'll be the second episode. But like, dude, there's enough meat on the bone, right? To like pivot away from law and provide this same.
No, my board meeting yesterday, remember I told you how I was like big, hairy ideas and the other person on the board was like, we got to make sure we understand what we're doing in 2024.
Right.
But one of the things is Lawmatics was always built to be the CRM for professional services.
There you go.
So like where HubSpot is the customer portal,
right?
Think of Lawmatics, or is the customer platform. Think of Lawmatics as the client platform. So like if you call your customers clients, that's us, right? If you wear a suit and tie and bill by the hour, that's us.
Right? I could see this for doctor's office, dental offices.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Financial advisors, accountants.
Financial
we already
advisors.
have a lot of accountants. And so that's exactly what we're doing. And that's where it's like, that's where I'm building a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do that just in legal.
All right, then we'll come back for part 2 to hear how Matt's pivoted.
Cardiff's on the same journey, right? In terms of lowering its cost of client acquisition. I think Lawmatics probably fits that same mold.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these influencers we're talking about that are on TikTok, on Instagram, if they have 500,000 followers, 1 million followers, for us, that's a gateway to lowering our CAC.
Sure.
And I think for Lawmatics, it works the same way, right? If these folks are attracting a legal audience, right?
It's one to many.
You can do a rev share with them and make sure that these attorneys are buying your software and not somebody else's.
Yeah. We got to get you on stage. It can't just be conventions. You seem like super.
I talk a lot. I talk a lot of legal stuff,
Yeah.
Like that's,
well, let us know if we can.
I'm writing a book, right? I got to get it out there more.
I want to hear about that.
Yeah. I want to hear about that on part 2.
Are you on social? Are you have Instagram?
I'm like really bad on social.
Yeah.
Well, what are the handles for Lawmatics?
For Lawmatics, I think on Instagram, it's like Lawmatics_CRM.
Okay.
And
we'll fix that.
I don't know where else.
It'll just be Lawmatics.
Yeah.
We'll work on that closing
We'll
statement.
work on that. We'll help you with that.
That's right.
All right. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Adios.